Hey guys, this is Vidya from Buddy Academy, and in this series we are going to learn very important topics in your class 12 mathematics. So pertinent to that, we will learn relations and functions, which is the first chapter today. Relations and functions contribute very less weightage in your board exam, yet it is very simple to understand and very easy to attempt in your exam also. So if you are aiming for good mark and if you are aiming for centum, definitely you must get thorough with this chapter. So we will move on to the topic first. Relations of function you have already learnt in the class 11, and this is the continuation of that portions only. And in today's class we are going to concentrate only on three topics, that is types of relations, types of functions and the binary operation. So let's move on to the class to learn these topics in details. For types of relation, we have to know these following topics. First, set. Set definition you know already. We'll just have a recap. Then Cartesian product, relations, what is relation we should know, types of relation we will learn now, and also we will learn equivalence relation. Let's move on to the definitions. So first definition, set. You know, set is a collection of well-defined objects. In the previous classes and in the lower classes, we have already learned this definition. Okay, set is a collection of well-defined object. Why it is again insisted in here is, if a question is given and in the question, if the set is not defined, if the set is not properly defined, then you need not go for relations at all. There itself the set is not defined properly. So you can just write that set is not defined and you can script the problem. Okay. Next, it's a Cartesian product. See, Cartesian product of set is denoted by A cross B, that is A is a set and B is a set. A cross B equal to set of all A comma B such that A belongs to A and B belongs to B. That is, the element A will belongs to set A, that is the first set, and the element B, the second element B, belongs to set B, that is the second set. Okay, example, we will now see an example. The set A is 1, 2 and set B is 3, 4, and the Cartesian product of these two sets are given by 1, 3, that is 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. This in this ordered pair, all the first element will belong to the first set and all the second element will belong to the second set. And the Cartesian product, the number of elements in the Cartesian product will be the product of number of elements in the two sets. See, in the set A we have 2 elements and in the set B we have 2 elements. So 2 into 2 is 4. Therefore, in the Cartesian product the number of elements will be 4. Okay. We'll move on to the next definition. Next, we'll see the definition for relations. Let A and B are two sets and R is said to be the relation if R is the subset of A cross B. That is, when R will be the subset of A cross B, then we can say R is the relation. Okay. That is, if R is the subset of A cross B, then R is totally contained in A cross B. For relation also, we will see an example. Let A equal to set of elements 1, 4, 6 and B equal to 2, 3. Then we will now define a relation from A to B as R equal to set of all elements A comma B belongs to A cross B. According to the definition, the elements in the relation should belong to the Cartesian product of A and B such that A should be less than B. See, for every relation there will be a condition. Only if the elements, only if this Cartesian product, the element satisfies this condition, that will come under the relation. That is, an element is said to be in relation only if that elements are belong to the Cartesian product of the two sets and also if the element satisfies the specific condition meant for the relation. Okay. So A should be less than B is going to be the condition for this relation. So first of all, we'll write A cross B, that is the Cartesian product of A and B. Okay, get two sets and you have to write similar to the previous definition we learned. Okay, that is 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 6, 2, 6, 3. Okay. Now what are the elements going to be in the relation? We will see. A should be less than B. That is, the first elements are going to be A, the second elements are going to be B in each ordered pairs. Okay. Check whether each and every element have the first number as less than the second number. If it is there, you can include in this relation. 1 is less than 2, so you can include. 1 is less than 3, so you can include. 4 is greater than 2, so we cannot write this. 4 is greater than 3, so we cannot write this also. 6 is greater than 2, so we cannot write. 6 is greater than 3, so we cannot write. So these two elements are only in the relations. Okay. So in the relation only these two elements are going to be, that is only these two elements satisfies the condition for the relation. If A comma B, if ordered by A comma B belongs to R, if A comma B belongs to the relation R, then we can write A is related to B. In this notation also we can write A is related to B. Okay. So that's all the definition for the relation. Now we'll move on to the types of relations. Next we'll see types of relations. Types of relations, we have two types, that is empty relations and universal relations. For learning this, let me give you two examples. Let me explain through two examples. Okay, let me take A equal to 1, 4, 6 and B equal to 2 and 5. And for defining any relation, we definitely need the Cartesian product. Let me write the Cartesian product also first. So 1, 2, 1, 5, then 4, 2, then 4, 5, then we'll have 6, 2 and 6, 5. Okay, now let me define the empty relation. Let me just take a relation R1 from A to B, and the relation is going to be the form of A comma B. That is, the elements in the relation R1 going to be in the form of A comma B belongs to A cross B, so that is the Cartesian product of A and B, such that the condition, as I told you before, every relation will have some condition, I told you, right? A equal to B is the condition for this relation. Okay, now what are the elements will come under this? See, A equal to B, the condition is A equal to B, that is, in this pair both the elements should be same. Do we have such element in the Cartesian product? No, right? So our number of element in R1 is empty set, that is R1 is an empty set, that is no element in this Cartesian product related to this condition, related to this relation. Therefore the elements in the R1, the elements in the relation is an empty set. There is no element, therefore it is an empty set, therefore it is a empty relation. On the other side we have universal relation. Okay, let me define this also in the same set. Let me define a relation R2 from A to B such that we have the relation R going to be A comma B belongs to A cross B, and A should be greater than 0, that is the first element should definitely be greater than 0, and B should be less than 6. Okay, now from the Cartesian product, take and write the elements which belongs to this relation. Okay, A should be greater than 0 and B should be less than 6. See, 1 comma 2 is satisfied. 1 comma 5 also we can write. B is less than 6, A is 0, greater than 0. 4 comma 2 is also there. Then 4 comma 5, then 6 comma 2 and 6 comma 5. So which is nothing but the Cartesian product of A cross B, right? That is, all the elements are contained in this relation. Okay, all the elements contained in this relation is equal to the Cartesian product A cross B. Therefore, R2 is equal to A cross B. Therefore, it is a universal relation. If every element in the Cartesian product are related to the relation, then the relation is a universal relation. So, that's all the types of relation. We'll move on to the next definition. Next, we'll see the definition for equivalence relation. See, equivalence relation. Here, a relation is said to be equivalence relation only if it satisfies these three conditions, that is reflexivity, symmetricity and transitivity. Reflexivity is nothing but, see, if I take an element from the set A, that is, if a relation is defined on the set A, and if I take an element from the set A, then A comma A should belongs to R, should belongs to the relation R for all A belongs to A. Okay, that is, both the element in the ordered pair should be the same, that is 1 comma 1, 2 comma 2, x comma x, y comma y, that is both the element in the A place and B place should be the same. Okay, that is, you can also write A is related to A. If both the elements are same, then we can say it is reflexivity. It satisfies the condition for reflexivity, or the relation is reflexive. Next, come to the symmetricity. If A comma B belongs to R, then we should have B comma A also belongs to R for all A comma B belongs to set A. That is, when the relation is defined on set A, and if A comma B belongs to set R, then B comma A also should belong to set R. Okay, otherwise you can say if A is related to B, in the previous definition we saw, right, if A comma B belongs to the relation R, then you can also write A is related to B. Okay, if A is related to B, then B is related to A if the relation is symmetric. Okay, if the relation satisfies a symmetricity condition. Okay. Then we will see transitivity. Okay, if A comma B belongs to R and B comma C also belongs to R, then A comma C should belongs to R. Then A comma C should definitely belongs to R. That is, you can also write, if A is related to B and B is related to C, then A should be related to C. Okay, then you can say that the relation satisfies the transitivity condition. Here one important thing you should see, only if these two conditions exist, you should check for this condition. Suppose in a relation, if these two conditions itself is not satisfied, you need not check for this. You can write directly the relation is transitive. Okay, when you can check for transitivity is when these two conditions are satisfied, then you should go for this third condition. Okay, if it is there, it is, if it is satisfied, it is transitive. If it is not satisfied, it is not transitive. But in some cases, these two conditions itself will not be satisfied. Okay, then in that case, you need not check for the third condition. Directly you can say it is transitive. So that's all the equivalence relation. If a relation satisfies all these three conditions, that is reflexivity, symmetricity and transitivity, then the relation is an equivalence relation. Okay. Now we will see a problem for example, applying all the definition we learned. See, show that the relation R in the set 1, 2, 3 given by R equal to 1, 2 and 2, 1 is symmetric but neither reflexive nor transitive. We are going to show that the relation is symmetric but it is neither reflexive nor transitive. See, this is the given relation here. A relation can either be given in the row set form or set builder form. Here in the previous examples we learned the relation in the set builder form. Here it is given in the row set form. Okay. So first we will check for reflexivity. Okay. Reflexivity we will check. See, what is the condition for reflexivity? For all A belongs to A, that is, we will take instead of definition, that is general definition, we will take from this itself. 1 belongs to the set A. Let us take this set as A. Okay, 1 is there in the set A, but 1, 1 does not belongs to R. 1, 1 is not there in R, right? Also, we have 2 belongs to set A and 2, 2 also does not belongs to set R. Here only one example is enough. Just for your understanding I have given 2. Okay. If such element exists only, it is reflexive, right? But it is not there. It does not belongs to the relation R. Therefore, R is not reflexive. Okay. Next, symmetricity. See, what is the condition? 1, 2 belongs to R and 2, 1 also belongs to R. Okay, the condition is if A, B belongs to R, then B, A also should belongs to R. Then it is symmetric. See, this condition is satisfied here. Therefore, R is symmetric. You can write, otherwise the relation R satisfies the condition for symmetricity. Okay. Then we will go for transitivity. So, what is the condition for transitivity? If A, B belongs to R and B, C belongs to R, then A, C should belongs to the relation R. See, A, C should belongs to, that is, both the extreme element should belongs to R. Okay. So, what we can take here? We have 1, 2. We will just take the elements in the set R itself. 1, 2 belongs to R and 2, 1 belongs to R. But 1, 1 does not belongs to R here. See, here the element 1, 1 does not belongs to R. As I told you before in the definition, only if these two conditions are satisfied, you can check for this condition. Okay, but here you see A, B belongs to R and B, C. See, both the C and A can also be same. Then 1, 1 should belongs to R. See, these two conditions are satisfied and 1, 1 does not belongs to R. Therefore, what? R is not transitive, that is, the relation R is not transitive. So guys, we learnt the condition for the relation to be equivalence, that is a condition for the relation to be reflexivity, symmetricity and transitivity, and we have applied this in a problem and hence we got the result. I hope you understand the concepts and definition we learned now. So we will move on to the next topic. Guys, we will now learn types of functions. So in types of functions, today we are going to see, of course, the types of functions, composite functions and the invertible functions. Then types of functions, first we will see today one-to-one function, onto function and bijective function. One-to-one function definition already we have learnt in the class 11. Okay, we will just see in depth now. A function f from x to y is defined to be one-to-one if the images of distinct element of x under f are distinct. That is, the images of x are unique under f. Okay, that is, one-to-one means nothing but in the domain the function is from x to y and the function be f. The images, the element in the x will have unique image in the y. The element in the x will have unique image in the y. That is, no two element in the x will have same image in the y. Okay. See, for every x1, x2 in the x, we have the images f of x1 and f of x2. F of x1 equal to f of x2 implies that x1 equal to x2. That is, if f of x1 equal to f of x2, then we will have x1 equal to x2. On simple, see, every element in the domain will have a distinct element in the y, that is, distinct image. Okay, otherwise it is called many-to-one. If any two element in the domain have same image in the codomain, then it is called a many-to-one function. This y is called the codomain or the range. Okay. Then onto function. A function f from x to y is said to be onto if every element of y is the image of some element of x under f. That is, every element of y should have a pre-image. That is, every element of y like y1, y2, y3 should have a pre-image in the domain, should be mapped to some other element in the domain. Okay, that is onto function. That is, no element in the codomain will be left without a pre-image. Will be left without a pre-image. Then it is called, then the function is called onto function. Here, one-to-one function is also called injective function and onto function is also called surjective function. Okay. See here this definition, for every y belongs to the codomain y, there exists an element x in the domain x such that f of x equal to y. This definitions we will use in solving the problems. This definition we will use in solving the problems repeatedly. For one-to-one, you can take f of x1 equal to f of x2. Whatever function it may be, you can take f of x1 equal to f of x2. Suppose the function is x plus 3. If you take f of x1 equal to f of x2 and on applying on the function, if you get x1 equal to x2, then it is onto function. And similarly, for every y in the codomain y, there exists an element x in the domain x such that if you prove that f of x equal to y, then it is a onto function. Then bijective function. Bijective function is nothing but if a function is both one-to-one and onto, then it is a bijective function. So guys, types of function, this is very, very basic. If a function given is asked to find the one-to-one, check whether it is one-to-one and onto, you should go by this definition method. Or in that time, if you are not able to remember the definition, you can always give some example and show it is one-to-one and onto. Okay, nothing from the given definition, you can substitute various values. That is, the function is defined on natural number means you can substitute some natural numbers, and if the function is defined on some real number means you can substitute some real numbers and show it is one-to-one function, onto function. You can proceed with the sum. But here, if you use the definition, it will be very easy. If you recall the definition while solving the problem, it will be very easy for giving the short solutions. Okay. So types of function, what we have? one-to-one function, onto function, and if a function is both one-to-one and onto, it is a bijective function. So we will now see an example for checking for injectivity and surjectivity. Injectivity is nothing but one-to-one function. In the definition also we learned. Surjectivity is nothing but the onto function. See here, the given function is from R to R, that is the set of all real numbers, that is the domain is set of all real numbers and the codomain is also set of all real numbers, and the function is given by f of x equal to x square. Okay, as I said in the definition, we can go by definition method or by giving the example. See, f of x1, let us take f of x1 equal to f of x2. So f of x is what? X square. Therefore f of x1 is x1 square equal to x2 square. See, it is a square functions. So you will have plus or minus x1 equal to plus or minus x2. You will not directly have x1 equal to x2. Therefore it is not one to one. Okay, we can also give some examples. See, f of minus 1 is equal to what? 1 minus 1 the whole square equal to 1. F of plus 1 equal to plus 1 the whole square, which is 1. See, minus 1 is also have mapped to plus 1 and plus 1 is also mapped to plus 1. So it is not a one-to-one function, it is a many-to-one function. Okay, as I already told you, from the domain, an element in the domain should be mapped only to one element in the codomain. But here, see, plus 1 is also mapped to plus 1, minus 1 is also mapped to plus 1. Therefore, it is a many-to-one function. Therefore, it is not a one-to-one function. Okay, next we'll check for onto function. Okay. Suppose let me take for y equal to minus 2, that is I am taking an element y equal to minus 2 from the codomain. Y equal to minus 2 belongs to the codomain R. We will write codomain because both domain and codomain are higher. So to avoid confusion, we will write codomain. For y equal to minus 2 from the codomain, there exists no x, that is there is no x belongs to our domain such that y equal to f of x or f of x equal to y, that is, see, our codomain is what? Set of all real numbers. Set of all real number means we will also have positive numbers and the negative numbers. Suppose if I take minus 1, see, no element in the domain will be mapped to the negative numbers here because the function is a square function. Whatever number, whether it is positive number or negative number, if you take from the domain, on applying it on a function, on taking square, you will have only the positive value. So only the mapping are only to the positive number. So no negative number in the codomain will have a pre-image in the domain. Therefore, it is not onto function. What is onto function? Every element in the codomain should have a pre-image in the domain, right? But the negative numbers in the codomain don't have a pre-image in the domain. Therefore, so logically it is not onto and the definition method is also not onto. Therefore, f is not onto function. Or you can write f is not surjective as asked in the question. F is not surjective. So this is how you should apply the definition, the general definition in solving the problems. Okay. Next we'll move on to the next topic. Guys, we'll see composition of functions now. First we'll see the definition. Let f be the function from a to b and g is a function from b to c. Okay, be the two functions. We have taken two functions f and g, where f is a function from a to b and g is a function from b to c. Then the composition of function f and g denoted by g of f, or you can read it as g composite f also. Is defined as the function g of f from a to c given by g of f equal to g of f of x equal to g of f of x. Okay, we will just see in the mapping format. See, there are three sets. F is a function from set A to B, that is for the function f, A is the domain, B is the codomain, and for function g, B is the codomain, B is the domain and C is the codomain. Okay, so f is a function from A to B and g is a function from B to C. Then g of f or g composite f is the function from A to C, where the domain of g of f will be A and the codomain will be C. So g of f, that is g composite f, is a function from A to C, and this g composite f of x is defined as g of f of x. Okay, for all x belongs to A, this x should definitely belongs to the domain A. So this is the composition of function. Again, let me explain. See, f is a function from A to B, that is the domain of f is A and the codomain is B, and g is a function from B to C, that is the domain is B and the codomain is C. Then g of f or g composite f, this symbol is called composite function. Okay, then g of f is a function from A to C, that is for g of f the domain is A and the codomain is C. Okay, which is defined as, that is g of f of x is defined as g of f of x. Okay, so this is the composite function. So guys, we will now see a small example for this composite function. See, find g composite f and f composite g if the function f of x and g of x are given. Okay, what is g composite f of x? G of f of x, right? So g of f of x is 8x cube, and this whole term will serve as a x for the g function. So what is g of x? X to the power 1 by 3, x raised to the power 1 by 3, right? Here this x is nothing but 8x cube, 8x cube. So 8 can be written as 2 power 3, okay. So the whole power 1 by 3. This power we can split it up and write 3x power 3 to the power 1 by 3, okay. So 3 get cancelled and this 3 get cancelled. So 2x is the answer. So g composite f of x is 2x. On the other hand, we need to find f composite g also. So f of g of x. F of g of x is equal to f of g of x. Okay. So first substitute g of x is x power 1 by 3. Now for f of x, my x value will be x raised to the power 1 by 3. So what is f of x? 8 into x power 3, that is x 1 by 3 whole power 3. So this 3 and this 3 will get cancelled, so which is 8x. Okay, this is how you should find the composition of functions. It's a small example. Okay. Next we'll move on to the next topic. So guys, next we'll see invertible function. When a function will be said as invertible function. First we'll see the definition. A function f from x to y is defined to be invertible function if there exists a function g from y to x such that g composite f is equal to ix, that is the identity function, and f of g is equal to iy, that is a identity function. So let me explain. There is a function from x to y, that is the domain is x and the codomain is y. Okay, it is said to be invertible when when there is a function g from y to x, that is the domain of f will be the codomain of g and the codomain of f will be the domain of g. Okay, the domain and codomain will interchange for the g function. And there is also another condition for this g to be invertible function, that g composite of g of f is equal to identity function in the domain of f. What is the domain of f? X, right? So, in the domain there should be the identity element, that is g of f of x equal to should be the identity element in the domain of f. What is the domain of f? X. So, the identity should belong to this x. On the other hand, f of g should be equal to identity in the domain of g. What is the domain of g here? Y. That is, the identity we get should belong to the y. Okay, then we can say that f is invertible. F is invertible. So, let me explain again. F is a function we can said to be invertible only when there exists a function from y to x. If f is from x to y means its inverse function should be from y to x, and there should be a condition that g composite f should be the identity in the domain of f. Domain of f is x and f composite g equal to identity in the domain of g. Domain of g is y. If these two condition exists, then f is invertible and g is the inverse function. See, the function g is called inverse of f. That is, you can say g is equal to f inverse, that is inverse of f is g. Thus, if f is invertible, then f must be 1 to 1 and onto. And conversely, if f is 1 to 1 and onto, then f must be invertible. Other than these condition, if a function is invertible only when the function is 1 to 1 and onto. Conversely, we can also say if f is an invertible function, then the function is invertible and 1 to 1 and onto. So, that's all the definition for invertible function. Hey guys, we will now see binary operations. So, now we will learn what is binary operation and we will learn some related definitions. See, what is binary operation? The binary operation star on a non-empty set A are functions from A cross A to A. That is, usually we will denote binary operation using this symbol star. Okay, it is not your multiplication. Usually you will use the symbol for multiplication here, right? But this is not multiplication, it is just a operation. It can be any operation. Okay, but it denotes the binary operation. Okay, so binary operation on a non-empty set A are functions from A cross A to A. So if you are defining the binary operation on the set A means that it is a function from A cross A to A. Okay, so binary operation is a function from A cross A to A. That is, the domain will be the Cartesian product of A cross A and the codomain will be the A. Then the binary operation start from A cross A to A. It is an operation of two elements of the set whose domains and codomains are in the same set. So, binary operation is the operation of two elements on the same set. Binary means what? Bi means two. Binary means two operations on two elements. So, operation of two elements whose domain and codomain are in the same set. That is, domain and the codomain both are in the same set. Okay. So, it is the operation of two elements. See, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponential are some of the binary operation. Why these are the binary operation example? See, addition, suppose 3 plus 5 plus 9. Okay, if you need to add these three numbers, first we will add any two numbers, 3 plus 5 we will add, and with that, so you will get 8, and 8 plus 9 only you will do. At a stretch you cannot add 3 plus 5 plus 9. However, you are writing, if you are writing the direct answer also, in the mind, your mind process will be like adding two numbers at a time. Your mental calculation will perform only two numbers at a time. That is called binary. Bi means two. That is two operation of two elements, operating two elements at a time. Okay, subtraction. So at a time you can subtract only two elements. Multiplication, division, exponential are some of the examples of binary operation. So I hope you understand binary operation. Now we move on to some important definitions. See, binary operation on set A is a function from A cross A to A. This is what we learned in the previous definition also. We denote star of A comma B by A star B. That is, if the operation is on the element A comma B. That is, why it is A comma B, why it is represented like this means the domain is what? A cross A, that is the Cartesian product of A. Cartesian product, in Cartesian product the elements will be in the form of the ordered pairs, right? So the binary operation on this pair is denoted by A star B. Okay. Then a binary operation star on the set X is called commutative if A star B equal to B star A. If A star B equal to B star A, whatever may be the operation. Here we are just mentioning it as a binary operation. Here whatever may be the operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponential, or whatever may be the operation here. If A star B, if the operation between A star B is equal to operation between B star A, then it is commutative. If both the results are same, then it is commutative where A and B should belong to the same set. Then next one, a binary operation star from A cross A to A is said to be associative if A star B star C is equal to A star B star C. That is, this is associative property. You have already learned in the previous class, that is primary classes, right? A star B, that is if you change the order also. If you change the order while doing the operation also, you will get the same value. Okay, you will get the same. That is, if you are using the operation on A and B first, and then with that result, if you are using the operation with the another element, then both the values will be same. That is, if you are interchanging the position, if you are interchanging the brackets also, it will be same. So whatever order you do, the result will be same. Then it is a associative property. Then we can say that the operation is associative. Then given a binary operation star from A cross A to A, an element E belongs to A if it exists. E is called identity for the operation. That is, see, in A, if you have E, there exists an element E, then this E is called identity. When what? If A star E equal to A or E star A equal to E. When this element is multiplied with any other, or not multiplied, or operated with any other element in the same set, you will get the same element. Okay, then the element E is called the identity element. Okay, then given a binary operation star from A cross A to A with the identity element E in A, an element A belongs to A, the set A is said to be invertible with respect to the operation star if there exists an element B in A such that A star B equal to E and B star A equal to same. Okay, that is, in A we have E. Okay, we have E in A and we have A, the element A in the set A. We have the element E in set A and we have the element A in set A. Then if there exists B in the same set A, and if you get A star B equal to E or B star A equal to E, if you get, then B is the inverse of A. B is the inverse of A. That is, A inverse is equal to B, we can write. That is, if you multiply two elements and you will get the result as an identity element, then B will be the inverse of A or A will be the inverse of B. Therefore, the inverse property also satisfy. That is, if you want to satisfy inverse property or if you want to check the inverse property, you can use this property. Okay, so that's all the definitions. We'll just see a small example on this. So we'll see this example. For each operation star defined below, see the operations defined here. Determine whether star is binary, commutative or associative. First of all, we should check whether it is binary operation. Okay. See, on Z define A star B equal to A minus B. First of all, you should see whether the operation, the binary operation star is defined. Okay. Sometimes the question they would have just given define whether the binary operation is commutative or associative, but the operation will not be defined. So in that case, you can just write the operation is not defined and skip the question. Okay. So here you see, we have to show that it's a binary operation and commutative or associative. You have to check whether it's a binary operation, commutative and associative. Okay, first for showing it as a binary operation, we'll take the set. First of all, we'll take example and we'll show. So Z is what? Set of all numbers, set of all positive numbers, negative numbers including 0, that is set of all integers. Z is set of all integers and they have defined A star B equal to A minus B. Okay, let us take A equal to minus 1, B equal to 2. Therefore, A star B equal to A minus B equal to A is minus 1 minus B is 2. So, minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3. It definitely belongs to Z. Minus 3 is also an integer. So, it belongs to it. Z. Therefore, star is a binary operation. Okay. Nothing. If we substitute any element in the operation, you should get the element belong to the same set. Same set on what the operation is defined. Okay. Next, we'll check for commutative. Okay. Let us take first, let star be commutative. Commutative. So, if the operation is commutative, what it is according to the definition? A star B will be equal to B star A. So, A star B according to the definition is what? A minus B. B star A is B minus A. Okay. But see, A minus B equal to B minus A, which is not true because the operation subtraction is not commutative. We already know this, right? Which is not true. Okay, because 1 minus 2 is equal to minus 1, 2 minus 1 equal to 1. Both are not same. Okay, therefore, here which is not true. Therefore, A star B is not equal to B star A and therefore, star is not commutative. Next, we will go for associative. So, again we will just assume let star be associative. So, according to the definition, it is A star B star C equal to A star B star C. So, first we will take left hand side, it is A star B star C. Okay, what it is? A star B according to the definition, it is A minus B star c. Now again use the operation. Now this fully will be your a term in the definition. So first term minus second term, that is a minus b minus c. Now take RHS, a star, b star, c. So a, first we will do what is given in the bracket. Okay, b star c is b minus c. Now again use this operation, a minus b minus c. Take minus side inside, a minus b plus c. See, both LHS and RHS are not equal. LHS is not equal to RHS. Therefore, star is not, the operation star is not associative. So this is how you should check. Or by giving an example also you can check. This is by the definition method. Okay, this two I have just proved by definition method. You can also take some integers as example, like a equal to minus 1, b equal to minus 2, c equal to 5, like that you can take and show by substituting the examples also you can show that it is associative or not associative, okay, according to the question. So that's all the solution, and that's all the topic also, binary operation. So guys, I hope you have understood the concepts clearly. All you have to do is to read and interpret the question carefully and answer accordingly. It is easy, right? So in the next class, we will meet you with another easy topic, that is inverse trigonometry functions. Thank you.
For more queries, please contact Buddy on 98408 44987 or visit buddy.life.